Yo, what's going on, everybody? I'm your boy Numbskull, and boy do I have an absolutely insane tale to tell you all today. The other night, from the time of writing this script, I tripped on DXM. In the morning after, I popped a little motherfucker tryptamine tablet upon waking up into my afterglow, and ladies and gentlemen, I have never felt such a feeling in my entire life. I mean, quite literally got sent to Pluto and back, and then back again with this one. I got humbled, to say the least. So without further ado, I present to you all the trip of a lifetime again. Let's jump into it. So this all started 2 days ago, on this last Friday, again from the time of writing this script. I decided that I wanted to have a nice little Dex trip that night, a second plat dose, nothing too crazy. I weigh roughly 150 pounds, so the dose I took, roughly 300 milligrams, put me square in the middle of my second plateau range. Come 4 p.m. that day, I dosed 9 to 10 robo tablets, or it was 10. Blue label HBR, and went to have a cigarette outside on my screened-in back patio while I waited to come up. After coming back in, I took a nice long shit and answered some of you guys' messages and comments, and by the time I had finished, I was about 45 minutes post-ingestion. I typically start feeling that somewhat uncomfortable first tinges of the experience around then, and at about an hour and a half in, it switches from that to the actual pleasant, euphoric, and dissociated trip. After leaving the bathroom, I put on a nice soft hoodie and sweats and sat on my bed, buckled in for the come-up. It didn't feel like all too long in between the start of the experience and the actual point where it began feeling good. Before I knew it, I was in the trenches. Now let me tell you, I've always loved DXM. Other dissociatives are cool and all, but this specific drug has and always will hold a very special place in my heart. It was the first substance I ever really tripped on. I immediately fell in love with it and have loved it ever since. Some certain ignorant individuals like to call this substance a kiddie drug of sorts, something you do when you can't get anything else. Make no mistake though, I'm walking, breathing proof of the contrary. I've constantly got a massive stockpile of drugs of all different sorts, legal and illegal, calm and intense, and yet a lot of the time I'll find myself reaching for a bottle of robo tablets whenever I feel the desire to have a trip. Anywho, I eventually, after I began feeling it good, I decided a good start to the trip would be to play some video games and get truly immersed into another world, so that's exactly what I did. I decided that feeling like I'm actually a soldier in World War II sounded pretty fire, so I popped on Easy Red 2, set up a game on one of my custom maps and missions, and let the outside world just fade right away. I had chosen my Kursk 1943 map in my assault near Vasily mission. As almost always, I chose to play as the Axis, and in this mission that would make me a proud member of the Wehrmacht. Let me tell you, for a good 45 minutes there, I was a German soldier on the Russian steppe. I found both playing as a member of a vehicle crew and playing as a foot soldier equally as immersive and interesting in their own ways while tripping hard. The trip went as it usually does for me. I had a nice dissociation and out-of-this-world feeling, strong euphoria, and an insanely good time doing literally anything and everything. I ended up having my nighttime dose of 6 grams kratom during as well as smoking, and that potentiated it all even more, especially the mental and physical bliss that was enveloping my entire being. After a while, I ended up going outside for another cigarette and looked back at the trees and stars all around me. I wandered through my backyard over to my fence toward the front of my house and stood there for a while smoking my cigarette and petting one of my dogs, just taking it all in. One of the neighbors saw me out their window, and I'm certain they knew I was geeking. They must have, noticed how I robo-walked up to the fence and back around the corner to the rear of my house. About 4 hours or so post-ingestion, I decided to play Dreamcore and become immersed in the back rooms for a while. Let me tell you, walking around the deep end in the pool rooms level was insane. I spent 30 minutes or so completely gone wandering this other dimension. Eventually I came to a walkway overlooking the glowing green exit and stared at it for quite some time, listening to make it somewhat sonar-like beeping sounds. And eventually I decided to hop off and make some food and watch 8-Bit Ryan on YouTube via my Xbox and TV as usual. I don't remember exactly what I ate, but I do know that it was quite tasty. After I'd finished my meal, thinking the most intense portion of the experience was over, I decided to pop some melatonin, take another quick shit, and go to bed. Little did I know, my decision the next morning would send me straight to fucking Pluto. I woke up at around 5:30 a.m. and immediately had a small dose of kratom, then laid back in bed to watch a couple Asmongold clips that had posted the day prior. I then checked out a little video containing some clips of the man himself, Paul Miller the Gypsy Crusader, straight dunking on some poor bastards who couldn't handle the heat. By the time I had finished, I was feeling the kratom pretty strong, and by extension, my DXM afterglow. I grabbed one of my cases of substances and went into my currently quiet and empty living room and sat down on the floor in front of a heater. It was almost 6:30 a.m. at this point, an hour after dosing that kratom, and I was feeling pretty euphoric and fire. I opened my case and pulled out a 1-pack, sour green apple flavored Lil Motherfucker Tryptamine tablet. Beautiful. I stared at the package for a few minutes before opening it and then played around with the little tablet within for a while, wrestling with myself on whether to take it or not. I knew that it would either be the best or the worst decision I had made in a long time, and I wasn't ready for it to be the latter. Finally though, I caved, of course, shoved the tablet into my mouth, chewed it up, and swallowed what I could, then used some water to swish and rinse the rest of it off my teeth and gums and down my throat. It didn't taste horrible, almost good, like a flavor I've certainly tasted and smelled before but can never put my finger on. The powder does tend to dry your mouth out though. It sort of sucks up all the moisture and pretty much requires a drink of water alongside it. I thought to myself, well, it's down the hatch, no going back now, and went for a short shit whilst I waited on the effects to begin. I think we're at shit number 3 in this report. I was only in the bathroom for about 10 minutes and was already quite off. I got an, oh no, this shit is gonna be powerful feeling, and I knew right then and there that I was in for a roller coaster ride that day. I stumbled back into me and my girlfriend's room, trying not to disturb and wake her. That lasted about 5 minutes before I was coming up fully, and holy shit was I coming up fast and hard. I got a feeling that I was gonna get serotonin syndrome, and I let it get to me for a minute, I'm not gonna lie. Started hallucinating symptoms, and then got a sort of extreme hot flash. I literally felt like my body was on fire and burning from the inside out. I started freaking out. I woke my girl up and said, Babe, I think I need to go to the ER. And she, quite disoriented from having been awoken so suddenly, asked me what the fuck was wrong. I replied, I think I've actually fucked myself over this time, I think I'm getting serotonin syndrome or something, and I think I'm gonna die. All I know is I've never felt this feeling before and it doesn't feel good. I've got an extreme sense of impending doom. She began trying to calm me down and assured me that I wouldn't have gotten the symptoms of serotonin syndrome that fast. I then began feeling a little euphoria creeping up underneath this horrible state that I was in, or at least that I thought I was in, and I asked, if I really had it, I wouldn't be feeling kind of good right now, would I? Look it up, please. She did so and showed me the results, and promised me that I don't have serotonin syndrome, and that I was just freaking out due to this being a totally new and unexpectedly intense feeling. That seemed to do the trick. All of a sudden, the horror all just left my body and my mind at peace, and I began feeling quite good. Like, really motherfucking good. I also felt like I was no longer human. Mind you, it had only been like 30 minutes since dosing total at this point. I spent a good 30 to 45 minutes trying to decide if I loved this feeling or hated it. I of course eventually came upon the conclusion that I loved it more than almost anything I had ever felt before, as my entire body began feeling like it was melting in the best way possible. I cannot begin to describe to you just how gone I was. I mean, I was totally and completely out of it. Incapable of doing even the most basic thing properly and efficiently. I was gone. Gone, guys. I mean, I was so high at this juncture in time that I was kissing the pearly gates. I yelled, "Oh my god, fuck yes!" and my girlfriend scolded me for probably waking up my mom and stepdad. I didn't care. I was in motherfucking blissland and didn't have a fuck to give in the whole entire world. Let me tell you once again, just so you properly understand. Gone. The visuals at that point, let me tell you, they were beautiful. The first distortion I noticed was that one of the Christmas lights on a strand hanging on my wall seemed far brighter than the rest, a purple one. It had this insanely vibrant and bright halo sort of effect around it, and I stared at it for a fat-ass minute, totally absorbed in its newfound beauty. I told my girlfriend what I was seeing, and just how beautiful it was to me. I then found myself directing my gaze out my window, and the top of one of the massive trees outside in the distance was outlined in a super bright glowing neon blue color. It was one of the prettiest things I have ever seen. I ended up getting absorbed by that for I'd say a good 10 to 15 minutes or so, although my timing could be totally wrong as I didn't really have a working sense of time during this entire experience. I didn't have a proper sense of anything really. When I say I was on Pluto, I fucking mean it, guys. Lil motherfucker, it's super nice normally, but on the afterglow of DXM, just truly remarkable. I can't begin to properly convey to you all just how gone I was. Let me tell you though, I'm glad I didn't try that with a couple of my friends as their first experience with DXM. I could barely handle this myself, and you know I've done it all. I kept thinking to myself just how gone they would be, and how they definitely wouldn't have been able to handle that yet. If it wasn't for my girlfriend being there to calm me down, if she didn't understand what I was going through herself enough to calm me down like that, then this experience would have went from heaven to hell real fucking quick. However, luckily I've educated her a ton on substances and got her some nice experience under her belt, so I was in heaven indeed. I remember I just kept saying, "This is crazy. Holy balls, this is crazy." At one point I yelled, "Yes!" again before receiving another scolding and being told not to yell like that. The people were sleeping and it would probably wake them up. I didn't fully understand, nor did I care at all at this point. After one quick "sobriety sucks balls," I was ready to toss a real dose of kratom into the mix. I struggled to the kitchen to grab a beverage, basically crawled back to the room, and sat on the floor totally out of it for a good 30 minutes, going between trying to figure out how to take and swallow the capsules and feeling my face and mouth, as I kept feeling like I had hair all in my mouth and I couldn't tell if it was real or not. I never found any, however, so I'm gonna go with it wasn't real. Eventually the feeling mostly subsided when I began to ignore it, except for a couple times when it would become prominent again and I'd feel around on my tongue with my finger, only to find nothing yet again. I finally got the capsules down and crawled back into bed to lay there and listen to some music on the TV via YouTube through my Xbox as I usually do. The music was so good. Every song sounded better than it ever had before, even better than how it sounds on DXM and related substances alone. Just pure awesomeness. This trip in general was just plain ridiculous. I mean, truly the bee's knees. Nectar of the god this shit was. When the kratom kicked in and everything got a million times better, the euphoria was unrivaled. And the entactogenic effects were off the charts too. Everything I'd touch, everything that touched me, my girlfriend touching me, anything and everything involving touch was just fucking insane. Pure bliss and happiness. I wasn't just happy, I was happy. I can't begin to describe to you the feeling I experienced with this combo. Don't even get me started on the feeling of having a cig. Totally and completely skits, let me fucking tell you. Eventually, after a few hours, I could feel myself coming down, and decided to have another dose of kratom as it was about time for one anyways, and I spent the rest of the day in this amazing afterglow. I ended up having some nitrous and regretted not doing so sooner. It was amazing as always nonetheless though. That is about all I can recall from this experience. I probably missed some stuff, but that's okay. I can always do a remaster of sorts later on. So, that's gonna be it. I do hope you all enjoyed, and if you did, a like and a subscribe would be a phenomenal way of showing it. Comment letting me know if there's something specific you'd like to see out of me next, or to just call me a bastard. Pop on post notifications so you never miss out, and if you've got a story of your own you want to share and have me read on the channel, you could submit it via my Instagram or Facebook. Same name and PFP across all platforms. Stay frosty, stay curious, and as always, stay safe out there. And with that, I will of course see all of you in the next one. Peace.